Well, good evening, folks, or good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Quincy Kane Morris here, and this is live stream number 32. And in a bit here, we're going to be talking about what makes a good guitar solo and how do you write a good guitar solo. So we're going to talk about that in just a moment here, but first we want to give people a chance to get into the chat. So I'm actually going to go ahead and play a song for you guys and demonstrate a guitar solo. If you happen to be watching the replay, I'll have a timestamp where you can skip ahead to the topic if you'd like. But yeah, for those of you joining us, don't be shy, say hello, and let me know what are some of your favorite guitar solos, or what are some songs that feature some of your favorite guitar solos. Leave a comment. And along with that, I might ask, who are some of your favorite shredders? Who are some guys that just shred on guitar and you just love to hear them play? So leave a comment answering one of those things, and yeah, gonna dive into the song. This is the song that while we're waiting for people to show up, I thought this would be appropriate. This song is called Waiting. Sorry, mic is acting up a little bit. This is where we are. Where else have we been? Circling, round and round. Look into my eyes. See if there's a change. Thank you. Cool. Give me just a second here. Hopefully, I'm not receiving comments or anything too late. Hopefully, the stream is coming through okay. Stan, I think you were commenting on my reply. Or sorry, what I had written in the chat there. But yeah, cool that you're digging the song, and it's a fairly simple one, so it really shouldn't be that hard to play. But anyway, for those of you just joining, Quincy Kane Morris here, and this is live stream number 32, and we're going to be talking about guitar solos in just a moment here. So if you're just joining us, please don't be shy. Say hello, leave a comment, and share some of your favorite guitar solos. But we're going to dive into the topic in just a moment here, and talk about what does it actually take to write a good guitar solo. What makes a good guitar solo? Because probably the first thing you might think of when you hear guitar solo is fast playing, fast picking, and shredding, and there's some truth to that, but it's not really that simple. There's more to it than that, and that's what we're going to discuss in a moment here. So again, just say hello, and we're going to dive right into the topic in just a moment here. All right, here we go. So, how do you write a good guitar solo? What makes a good guitar solo? Well, first off, keep in mind that with any creative endeavor, there are no rules. So, I mean, really, when it comes to a guitar solo, you can do whatever you want. You can make whatever you want out of it. What I'm going to be sharing you with this evening, these are just some of my opinions and just some things that I have discovered as an artist in writing. And these are some things that have helped me in writing my own guitar solos. So hopefully they'll help you. But again, don't take these things as set rules. These are just guidelines, things to kind of help you in writing solos or just kind of understanding how solos work. So the first thing, before we even write a guitar solo, we need to know, does the song even need a guitar solo? And I think that's one problem. Maybe a lot of guitarists who just want to shred, they just automatically like try to force a solo into a song. They're writing a song, they say, okay, I got to put a solo in here somewhere, got to squeeze it in somewhere, and that's not necessarily true. In fact, for me, I'm definitely a songwriter first before a guitarist. So yes, I have guitar solos in some of my songs, not all of them, but some of them. And but it's more of a writing tool for me. It's not something that I force in there. Again, like I said, I think of myself more as a composer or a songwriter first before a guitarist. Yes, I play guitar. Yes, guitar is probably my main instrument. But I write music, and so I'm always going to serve the song. I'm always going to write what's best for the song. I'm not writing from the perspective of a guitarist, thinking like, okay, I want this to be fun for me to play. You know, it's like it's a little deeper than that. Not that there's anything wrong with that. If you're a guitarist and you just want to write something fun to play, that's cool. But cool. I think Logan just joined us. Hey, Logan. We're talking about guitar solos. So yeah, when you're writing a song, I've talked a little bit about songwriting before, and it's almost more like you're discovering the song. It's not that you're choosing like, here's what should happen next. And no, it's more like you're kind of playing around and you come up with something that sounds kind of cool, and you start exploring that idea and sort of seeing where you can go with it. And you try going one way, and you might say, oh, that's not right, but oh, it feels like it wants to go here, and oh, that works. And so it's more like you're discovering the song. And during that discovery process, you might find that, you know what? It sounds like it could really use a guitar solo right here. And that's pretty much what I think prompts a good solo. I think just for a solo, if it sounds like it belongs in the first place, that's the first step to writing a good solo, is making sure it actually belongs and not just forcing it in there. So that's kind of the first thing. And I've written a few songs, and I've just from listening to songs, where do you actually place the solo in the song? And it depends. I think most commonly it happens somewhere around the bridge. It might happen before the bridge. It might happen after the bridge. But usually kind of later on in the song, that's usually where a guitar solo will show up, and I think it's because the song might die down a little bit, and then as it builds back up, you want it to explode into something epic, and so why not a guitar solo? That's pretty epic. And then from there, it might go into the outro, the last song, and then kind of the finale. But there are other places. Sometimes it's pretty cool to have a guitar solo show up like after the first chorus. You might sing the first chorus and then have sort of this explosive guitar solo before you go into the next verse. So that can be pretty cool. It might happen at the end of the song. Like the song sort of ends with an epic guitar solo and then kind of fades out or something like that, you can play around. There's different places you can place it, but that's the thing. When you're writing the song, it's about, really listening to the song and what the song wants and seeing if the song is saying, okay, we need a guitar solo right here. All right, so you've got your song, and you found a good place. Saying, okay, this song needs a guitar solo. But how do you actually write one? You might even think, I'm not even that good of a guitarist. I feel like this song needs a solo, but I can't really play all that fast. And that's the thing. That's kind of a myth. You don't have to shred to play a guitar solo. You don't have to play super fast. In fact, I would argue that what's more important than playing fast is playing something that is tasteful, playing something that is catchy, something that's going to get stuck in your head. And so one of the most basic things you can do as a guitarist is just playing a melody. And you might even play the vocal melody of the song that you're playing. Think of the song Smells Like Teen Spirit by Nirvana. That song has a guitar solo in it, but it's not super shreddy. It's just the same melody that the vocal's singing. Like, that's all there is to that solo, It's not, like, super shreddy. It's just the same melody that the vocal is singing. So if you're just starting off and you feel like your song needs a guitar solo, but you're still kind of new to guitar, just write something simple like that. Write a simple melody. That's really the best place to start because as you start learning more guitar techniques, you can incorporate melody into those techniques. Hey, Rex, good to have you on the stream. I'm actually not sure if you've caught a live stream before. I know sometimes you'll watch the replays and you comment on a lot of my videos, which I really appreciate, but awesome to have you join us. We're talking about guitar solos right now. So I don't know if you have a favorite guitar solo or a guitarist who just shreds. You can share in the comments if you do. But we're talking what makes a good guitar solo. And so far we've discussed first off, does the song even need a solo? Because when you're writing a song, it's more like you're discovering the song. You don't so much force things to happen, but you kind of discover them. And so sometimes you might be writing a song and say, hey, this feels like it could use a guitar solo. And along with that, when you're writing the song, finding the right placement in the song for the guitar solo. Once you've got that, now we're talking about actually writing it. And you don't have to be a super shredder. You don't have to play super fast to have a good guitar solo. You can just play the melody of the chorus or something like that, just a simple melody. I actually want to show you guys one of the first solos I wrote. So some of you are familiar with a song of mine called A Place to Call Home. And I actually wrote that song years ago, or I should say I wrote my first draft of that song years ago. And as I was writing the song, I got to a part in it where I felt like, man, I think this needs a guitar solo. But I wasn't really much of a shredder. I wasn't really much of a soloist. I had learned like a few solos from other songs, but I myself, like I just, I never really spent much time messing around with that kind of thing. But I felt like the song needed a solo. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you real quick. Here is the solo that I wrote. this little breakdown here. You can hear the song building up to something, so what do we go to? Felt like we needed to go to a guitar solo, so here's what I wrote. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on there. So yeah, you could see that's not like the most shreddy solo, but here's the funny thing. Like I said, I wrote that years ago. And then a few years later, when I decided I wanted to fully record the song and release it, I remember getting, at that time, I had learned a little more about playing solos. I'd learned a little more, shred technique. And I was halfway tempted. Part of me thought, maybe I should make this solo more shreddy. Maybe I should update it and fix it. But when I listened to it, I thought, you know what? I really like the way it sounds. And I think that's what's super important is just having a good melody. I think a good solo is catchy, and you can almost sing along with it. Like when you've heard it before and you listen to that song, it's like, oh, here comes the solo. It's like you can sing it. You know the notes. Even the fast ones, like you kind of know the movement of the solo. And so I think that's very important. In fact, let's take a step back real quick and talk about what can help you with finding good melodies. Maybe it seems easy. Oh, yeah, just write a melody. But how do you even do that? Well, one thing that helped me, so back when I was a teenager, I was invited to play in the praise band at our church. And I was asked to play lead guitar. Now, I played guitar, but like I said, I wasn't much of a lead guitarist. And for those of you who don't know, what's the difference between rhythm guitar and lead guitar? Well, rhythm guitar just plays the chords. So you might have a song like, and that would be the rhythm part. But then you might have this melody that's like, So you put those two parts together. I can't really do both parts by myself, but you get the idea. One guitar is playing the rhythm, the other's playing these single notes, and this kind of melody that sits on top of that. So that was my job. But he, I was like, man, I don't know if I can do that. And he's like, no, you can handle it. And he kind of got me started, showed me a few things. But basically my job, every time we learned a song, if the song had an obvious lead guitar part, it was my job to learn that part. If it didn't have anything too obvious, then I had to make something up. So what I would do is I would come up with some sort of melody, some kind of little like back and forth pattern, or some kind of like, just some simple pattern to kind of repeat. And what I noticed was if I wrote something that sounded good, I would remember it. Like we'd come back to play the song again, and it would stick in my head. I'd say, hey, I can remember what I wrote here. And then if we practiced and I couldn't remember something I wrote, I just figured, well, since I can't remember it, it must not have been that good. So then I would just write something else, and I would keep writing something until something would stick. So that's kind of a good exercise. It can be kind of scary to not record your idea, but I think if your idea is really good, then it's actually going to get stuck in your head, and you don't really need to record it. I mean, eventually, yes, you might want to record it so you don't forget, but you want to, I should say, so you don't forget how to play it. But yeah, if an idea is really good, it's going to get stuck in your head. So that can be helpful for your solos. As you're writing a solo, just coming up with a simple melody that kind of gets stuck in your head. So that's one thing you can do. So for that first solo that I wrote, so we just got a few notes there, and I'm kind of using palm mutes. I'm playing a note, and then I'm doing palm mutes, and then ascending, going up higher, and then doing the palm mutes, higher, So it sort of has this, you know, this epic feeling of building up, you know. And then I come back down. Oh, sorry. And then there's kind of an interesting thing. That's the same grouping of notes, or not grouping of notes, but it's the same rhythmic pattern. Bum, ba-da bum, bum, ba-da bum. It's almost like a call and a response, or like an echo or something. So you've got the low one first, and then you go up to the higher one. Okay? Then I felt like it needed to kick into something shreddy, but again, I don't know how to shred. So all I did was I just tried to hit all the fast notes that I could. So I couldn't play, you know, I couldn't play anything like that. But if you cut that in half, all right, you get that. And instead of just staying on one note, you know, let's see, yeah, like, oh, sorry. Instead of doing something like that, by hitting a different note on those beats, it you know, that was like the fastest, or that was like the best way that I could simulate something fast at the time. So I just kind of hit a different note on the beat. And then try to get a little squealy in there. I think as I got better, actually, I don't even know if I originally had the squealy. I might have added that later as I got better. And the other thing I probably added, when I first played it, I probably just picked all the notes. You know, but now I use a little bit of sweeping and a little bit of hammer-ons and pull-offs. So I'm not picking every single note. And that just comes with experience, just kind of smoothing out the notes a little bit. But yeah, after that, then we kind of use that same technique of sort of palm muting and building up, but kind of in a different way than we had before. And then a little melody there, goes down first, then up, and then. All right, and then I was trying to switch it up, so somehow I got the idea to do these little harmonies. Oops, sorry. But there's something interesting about that. So again, remember, so I didn't really know how to write like a good solo, so I thought, well, maybe I can get the band to kind of support the solo and make it sound, you know, more powerful than it actually is. And so what I mean by that is, if you listen to the song, most songs, the band just kind of plays, you know, the rhythm. They just kind of play the background, and you can almost do any solo over that. It's just whatever solo they wrote. But in this song, the band is playing along with the solo, and they'll actually change their rhythm to match up with what the solo's doing. So there's certain parts where they're playing in sync. So that's kind of a good tip, too. If you're not like the best shredder, maybe you can orchestrate the music to sort of play on the same, you know, sync with the solo. So like, you know, accenting certain parts that the solo's playing and stuff. But yeah, after that, more of that palm muting ascension. Up. And then some pull-offs. And then octaves. This is a technique I used a lot in playing lead guitar. And so I just kind of end with that. So that was one of my first solos that I wrote, and again, I still like that solo. It's not like, you know, it's not one that I would really play to show off, but it's, you know, I like it, and it sounds good in the song, so. And it's kind of nice, you know, it's kind of nice to have like an easier solo to play from time to time, because when you're performing these songs, if all your solos are super hard, then that's a lot more to practice, so, and to keep them fresh and stuff, so. So yeah, so that's kind of one thing. Let me see how we're doing on time real quick. All right, going to discuss this for a few more minutes. The next thing is, you know, just start with that. But then as you learn more techniques, you can use those techniques to make your solos more interesting. So an example of that, let's see here. So one of the next solos that I wrote was actually for my song Okay, we're actually going to come back to this. So I remember one of the next techniques I learned was tapping. So tapping, if you don't know, this is tapping. Okay, so it's called that because you're tapping on the guitar. So you tap with your right hand, or your picking hand, and then you pull off, and you kind of pick the string as you pull off to play this note, and then you tap with your pinky, and then you pull off. So just like that, back and forth. And it's really easy to get fast with that. Yep, so if you need something fast and shreddy, that's kind of a fairly simple technique to learn and kind of an easy way to get some of those fast notes in there if you feel like your solo needs it. So I was watching YouTube, and I had learned this little tapping exercise that goes like this. Well, that was all that the guy taught, but I thought I should add some chords to this so I can play along with something. So I came up with this chord progression. And some of you might recognize that chord progression is from my song, Hard Goodbyes. So yeah, that's how Hard Goodbyes started. It was just kind of this jam tune at first. For a long time, it wasn't really a song. It was just a chord progression that me and my friends would jam with, and I would do my little tapping solo. But to change it from the exercise, I added some variations in there, so I came up with this. And my friends used to think that that was like an epic guitar solo, which, to be honest, it's pretty easy to play. But there's an importance for why they thought it was epic, and I'm going to come back to that later. So that song kind of sat on the shelf for a while, and then later the next technique I learned was called sweep picking. Sweep picking is kind of like this. Sorry. So what sweeping is, you're sweeping your pick. You pick a note, and instead of picking down, up, down, up, down, up, you just move in one direction with the strings. So I'm just doing all up strums, and then I go back down. And if you get really coordinated with this, it allows you to play pretty fast. Man, that's sloppy. So there was this little shape here. I can't remember if I learned this from an exercise or just found this shape myself, but I just kind of would practice like that. Back and forth. And eventually, I used this for a solo in my song, Brothers to the End, that goes like this. So the lesson there for both of those, the tapping and the sweeping, is if you learn a new guitar technique, you don't just have to leave it at an exercise. Start using it right away. Write a song and use that technique. So it's like, okay, I need a solo. Let me throw in this new technique, because that sort of forces you to practice that technique and force you to get good at that technique. So it took me a long time to get better at that. I don't know if I'm even demonstrating it that good, but and that's a fairly slow sweeping pattern, but it worked in the song. That's about the rhythm there, so just... So it's not like a super fast sweeping section, but it was a good one just to kind of learn the technique and kind of control it. So, and then from there, just kind of, added melody. There, I'm just using hammer-ons. Let's see. And pull-offs. Hey, Daniel, thanks for joining us. I appreciate you stopping by. We're just talking about what makes a good guitar solo. And what I'm sharing kind of some of the techniques that I had learned that sort of helped me. You might have to watch the replay and kind of see the suggestions I had made for those incorporating a guitar solo into their song. But basically, the thing I'm talking about right now is when you learn a new technique, using that technique in your next solo. So I was sharing when I first learned tapping and how I wrote a solo or a song, you know, to use tapping in. And then when I was learning sweeping for the first time, I wrote a song for that. And you might know the song as Brothers to the End. And it's not like a super fast sweeping section, but it was a good one to kind of learn to get good control with that technique. Man, too bad service is kind of slow, but hopefully you can still benefit from the stream and enjoy it. And hopefully it's not streaming too poorly for everyone else out there. Sometimes it streams nicely, and then sometimes it's a struggle. I don't know what makes it change from week to week, but so then a few years later, once I got better at guitar, I decided I wanted to turn this little jam riff into an actual song. But again, my friends had thought that the guitar solo was epic, but really all it was just me tapping, you know. So I went back and I kept the tapping part, but then I wanted to write something a little more shreddy, so I came up with this. Let's try that again. See if I can play it cleanly. So this is definitely one of the harder solos. This one I still have to practice this one to keep it relatively fresh. But again, just starting with a melodic phrase, and then just using some hammer-ons and pull-offs. I'm actually using another technique there called string skipping. That's a pretty cool technique. So you play on one string, and then rather than just dropping down to the next string, you skip it. And I think there's sort of an illusion there when you're skipping like low notes and suddenly moving to high notes. It sort of builds this illusion that you're playing really fast. So that can sound kind of cool to skip strings. And again, the notes I'm choosing, I'm just trying to pick like stuff that sounds melodic to me, stuff that kind of sticks out to me. And then at this point, I was getting better at sweeping. I'm still not, you know, an expert at it, but so just using some sweeping. Definitely, I started getting better at sweeping when I discovered the band Silosis and Josh Middleton as a guitarist, if any of you know him. So I went through a little phase where I kind of worked on my shredding, and you know, I'm definitely nowhere near as good as him or anything, but that was kind of a helpful period of time to just kind of push myself as a guitarist and learn these techniques and stuff. But I learned sweeping from him and started using that, and again, just kind of trying to play something that you know, matched the intensity of the music. And then this little pattern here, that's a nice little alt picking pattern. I actually learned that from Silosis. They have a song, I can't remember which song, but they've got a solo, and they use this pattern. And it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then you repeat that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. So with one hand, it's just. So I've used that pattern in quite a few solos. I just play different notes. So in this song, it's I was just forgetting it. Oh, there we go. There we go. So that's kind of nice because it's the same picking pattern I've worked on in this hand, and so it's just different notes that I have to play in this hand. So yeah, so that kind of helped, you know, writing that and sort of bringing it up to par. And yeah, so little by little, you can see that just by you just kind of learn like a new technique, and then you just start using that technique in your solos, and that's kind of nice because that's a way to start getting better at that technique. So then the next solo you write, you can build upon that and take it even further. Let me just check my notes real quick. Cool, thanks, Daniel. And yeah, I've definitely heard you play. You've rocked some pretty good solos yourself and stuff. I don't know if you have a favorite solo or a favorite shredder, but you'll have to leave that in the comments if you do. Let me see what else we might be discussing real quick. So yeah, so I think the last thing I would say, and then we're going to wrap up this topic and go into another song here. So as you're writing your solos, as you learn these different techniques, a few things to keep in mind is one, melody is key. So what you want to do is, even when you're choosing the shreddy stuff, like don't just pick a bunch of random notes, don't just pick a simple pattern. Really try to choose notes that that you feel like they stick out, like they just complement the music nicely. And even with like sweeping and stuff, some might argue that sweeping you're just kind of outlining a chord, but you can blend chords together. So you don't have to sweep over the same chord that is being played by the music. You can find a complementary chord and find ways to change it. And also by adding variations in there, not just purely sweeping an arpeggio, but adding in some tapping in there. Or switching to alt picking shortly after the sweep, you can come up with some pretty creative stuff. So yeah, so melody is key. Try to find like notes that stick out to you. The other thing, let's see. The other thing is just being dynamic with your solo. So don't just do like one sweeping part and then go into another sweeping part and then another, or don't do tapping. Don't do tapping for the whole thing. Try to switch up the techniques that you're using, and try to go back and forth from playing like a few melodic phrases and then switching to something more shreddy. So again, even the solo that I played for the song Waiting, I'll kind of demonstrate that real quick. So I just start with a good old string bend. So again, just a nice melodic phrase, and then a few more single notes. So again, it's almost like you're singing with your guitar. All right, and then we're sort of matching the intensity of the music here. So we've got this little picking pattern, this little. All right, and then again ending with this nice little phrase. Sorry. Okay, and then it's like, all right, we've had some nice melodic stuff. Now let's kind of amp it up a little bit. Let's add some shred in there. So here's where the sweeping section comes in. My bad. Yeah, kind of sloppy. Thankfully, I played that better when I actually did the song. So yeah, so kind of. What's interesting about this part here, it's not totally a sweep. It's actually a bunch of pull-offs, along with the sweeping. So that's really cool to do, is like, not just outlining a chord. Sorry. Like that's some kind of major chord right there. But this over here, that's not a chord. That's just some notes that I thought sounded cool. So yeah, try to be kind of experimental with the notes you're choosing. And then we start sliding up. And we get a little tap in there to get this higher note, so it sounds like it's ascending. Do that again. It's hard to play when it's slow. So we kind of reach that peak there, that high note, and then we start coming back down. And then we have this nice little descent, and it's not super shreddy, but just a simple little descent. And a few little picky notes there. And the cool thing is at this part, kind of like I did with A Place to Call Home, but the music sort of supports the solo. So dum. The drums kind of follow that same rhythm as it's descending. Let's see what else happens. So that part's kind of cool. I'm actually going to demonstrate that real quick. But listen to what the backing track does. Listen how it's sort of playing. So it goes from 1 and 2 and 3 and triplet, 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 1 and 2 and 3 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1E and a 2E and a 3, and it kind of doubles up. So I'm going to demonstrate that real quick. And yeah, listen how the backing track is flowing with the solo. It's moving, it's complementing and accenting what the solo is doing. Let me just make sure, oh boy. I don't know if I can play this, because I've got that delay thing happening. Oh boy. Hopefully. All right, I'll try it, but we'll see what happens. Hey Thomas, thanks for joining us, and I'm glad you appreciate that. Thanks for I'm glad you appreciate the way the solos are put together, and I hope you're finding this helpful. But yeah, so that's just something to keep in mind. The next time that that you're writing a song, just remember, writing a song, it's more like you're discovering it. It's not so much that you're choosing what the song should do, but it's like you're kind of discovering what the song wants to do, what it wants to be. And when the song feels like it needs a solo, you know, just start with what you can do. Start with the techniques you do know and focus on melody. You don't have to shred. You don't have to play super fast. Just find notes that sound good, that are catchy, that get stuck in your head. And from there, as you learn more techniques as a guitarist, it might be tapping, it might be sweeping, it might be getting better at your alt picking technique. Start incorporating those techniques into the guitar solo and try to switch it up. Don't just focus on one technique, but try to have some variety in there, and that's a pretty good formula for building a solo. And then the only other thing I can suggest is just listen to solos that you like and pay attention to what's going on there. Try to analyze the structure of those solos and see if they help you out. So hope you all found that helpful. I'm going to dive into another song here, but if you have any questions about writing solos, if you want to share some of your favorite solos, I think Daniel shared one of his, I'm going to check that out, or some of your favorite guitarists who just shred, just do so in the comment while I'm playing this next song. One of my favorite, probably my favorite go-to solo shredder guitarist has got to be Josh Middleton from SETLIST. And I don't even know what song to pick. Man, I don't know. Imperial has a pretty good solo. To Build a Tomb has a pretty epic solo. It's actually got like a couple in there. Pretty much every solo he writes is epic. Another worthy mention is Ollie Herbert from All That Remains, and sadly he passed away like a year or so ago. But he was one of my favorite. I mean, that dude shreds. And one of my all-time favorite guitar solos is from the song "We Stand" by All That Remains. That's like my favorite guitar solo, and yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, I'm gonna play a song, and this has a pretty challenging solo, so hopefully I can play it. But kind of think about what I shared and watch as I play this this solo. Let me read some of your comments real quick. Yeah, Daniel picking all the legends there. Sounds like Chris Rowland or Poland is probably your favorite, and then you mentioned let's see, Eric Johnson, definitely a good one. My brother loves the song. Oh my gosh, what is it? What's that song called? So he'll get me to play that. I need to teach that to him. Um, I'm just having a brain fart. I cannot remember what that song's called. But if you know that song, leave it in the comment. But that's a good one. And then, of course, Yngwie and who else did you mention? Marty Friedman, all phenomenal guitarists. Daniel, thank you so much for sharing the stream with a friend. I really appreciate that. Definitely helps out. Hope you have a good rest of your shift, and hope you enjoy the replay. So here we go. Going to demonstrate a song for you. Hopefully I don't blow this solo. This one's called Hard Goodbyes. Hope you have a good rest of your shift. Yep, appreciate you, brother. So yeah, if you have any any questions about writing guitar solos, or if you'd like to share any techniques or some of your opinions, what you think makes a good solo, feel free to leave a comment. But yeah, yeah, that's that. So, thought I would share with you guys just some updates, some things going on with me. Let's see here. Continuing to work on a track. I finished editing and mostly mixing some vocals lately, and so I'm really hoping that that I'm going to be, shooting a video soon. It's going to be a one-man band playthrough, so that's coming out soon, and have a new song that I'm releasing. I've mentioned before I'm going to be releasing the song "Say That It's Over," so that one is getting closer and closer to being finished. So I'm looking forward to getting that wrapped up. Some of you might have seen my review video. I think I posted that earlier this week. And if you do watch any of my videos, I really appreciate that, and it helps just to comment and like on those videos and to share them if you can. So I definitely appreciate you guys watching. But yeah, so that's pretty cool, being reached out to from a company and to get to try out their stuff. It's not the first time it's happened, but it is the first time that they've offered me an affiliate link. So but yeah, hopefully maybe I'll get some other opportunities to collaborate with other brands who want me to try out certain pieces of gear that they're developing and stuff. So so that was a video that I posted earlier this week, continuing to work on the release that's coming out. And I don't know if you guys can tell a difference, but I did put some fresh strings on this guitar, and I can definitely tell. One, I think it tunes better, so that's really nice. Two, it's just got more like brightness and chunk and aggressiveness to it. So yeah, having some fresh strings on is definitely nice. But yeah, we'll see. So yeah, so those are some things that are kind of going on with me. Let me know, what is going on with you? What's some new stuff, new and exciting things that are cooking up in your life? Please share in the comment section. I'm going to go ahead and dive into another song here. This was one I demonstrated earlier as being one of the first guitar solos I wrote. This one's called "A Place to Call Home." Solo goes out to Logan. Here you go, bud. I go. Stan, were you gone for a bit, or is that just a super delayed comment of you saying hi to everyone? But either way, hey Stan, always glad to have you in the chat there. Let's see. So let me ask you guys: have any of you seen any good movies lately? Uh, or have you been playing any cool video games or anything like that? A few things that I've watched lately. Been hopping around watching a few different things. I watched Zootopia recently, and I actually saw that movie originally in theaters. I think I went to see it with my brother or something like that. I can't remember. And it's actually a really good animated film. It's just got really likable characters, good story, and it's fun. It's got funny moments and a little bit of heart to it. So just a really good uh, animated film that just feels pretty genuine. Like it's not forcing or trying too hard to be anything. So it's a good one. I enjoyed that. I also watched Fun with Dick and Jane with Jim Carrey, and that's a fun movie. Also, I don't know, Jim Carrey's just the best, and uh, I don't know. It's just they're really fun characters in that movie, and it's just uh, that's one of those movies. I kind of remember seeing it when I was younger, and like I didn't think that much of it, but I think being older, like I kind of understand like what they're dealing with because they're dealing with like adult problems with like you know their business losing out on stocks and basically the business going bankrupt and them losing their jobs, not having money, and sort of being too prideful to get like a regular job. But of course, they're sort of forced into that situation, and basically, they're losing all their stuff, and it's driving them mad. So that's just a pretty funny movie, and I think it's one that I can appreciate more now as an adult. Um, let's see what else I've watched. Oh yeah, I watched Free Guy with Ryan Reynolds. That's the one. He's like it came out pretty recently. He's an NPC, a non-playable character in a video game, but he doesn't realize it. And life's just the same, just the routine. But there's something about him that he's a little different from everyone else, and he eventually kind of catches on that he's in a game, and he sees this girl, and he is attracted to her. It's a player, not an NPC. Like there's a player in the video game, and he's trying to win her heart. And it's kind of cool. It's actually a very clever movie, and the story has some depth to it, and it's almost a little bit of a mystery as they're trying to sort of figure out like how this is happening and stuff. But it's fun. It was kind of funny. Like as I was watching it, I sort of flip flopped. There were times where it was like, "This is great, this is funny," and then there were times where it's like, "This is a little cringy, little kind of forcing it too much." But I think by the end of it, like it was a good run. It's a fun movie, definitely one worth checking out. And then other than that, um, let's see. Other than that, I just started playing Batman Arkham Knight. So I've played Batman Arkham Asylum. I've played Batman Arkham City. Those were on PS3, and then a while back I got Batman Arkham Knight for my PS4, and I just recently beat the Resident Evil 2 remake, and I just started that. Now it's been a while since I played a Batman game, so I'm a little rough all around the edges and stuff. But and I just hate like I hate being bad because I want to be Batman. I want to be good. I want to have everything under control and I want to take out guys easily and I want to drive smoothly and stuff. But right now I'm uh, kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Not very smooth. The opposite of smooth. A little shaky on the controls and stuff. But little by little, I'm getting better. So hopefully, as the game progresses, I'll kind of find my rhythm and embrace the Batman and stuff. But yeah, if you've seen any good movies lately, or if you're playing any video games right now, leave a comment. Let me know what you're playing or what you're watching. Logan says he's seen Free Guy. Do you remember? Did you like the movie? Were you not that crazy about it? How did you feel about it? If I were to rate it, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10 for now. I would have to watch it again to decide is it higher than that? It might be more like an 8.5, or is it lower? Is it more like a 7.5? And the way I kind of rate things, eight is kind of like I liked it, around that range. 9 is like I really liked it, and 10 is like I loved it. Anything under 8, 7 is like, maybe I could appreciate it, but I didn't really dig it. It wasn't for me or something. It was okay. 6 is like, maybe it was like just tolerable. Like I didn't really like it, but I could just, I could watch it if I had to. It was amusing or whatever, but I didn't really enjoy it. And then anything under a 6 or, any 5 and below, those are just like degrees of how bad it was. Like 5 is like, yeah, this wasn't good. And 1 is like, this doesn't even qualify as a movie. It's like, so. Yep, had a few little references in there and stuff. So, um, yeah, I liked it because I thought it had an interesting story. Especially by the end of it. Like at first, I wasn't really sure, but as the story developed, it was like, oh, that's actually really clever. So, really good story and some fun characters. I'm going to go ahead and play another song for you guys. But speaking of Marvel characters or superhero characters, let me ask you, if you had a superhero name, what would your superhero name be? You can't take one that already exists. You can't be Superman. You can't be Batman. You can't be Spider-Man or Deadpool. But if you had to come up with a super name for yourself, what would you be? That even I'd have to think of something. I'm not sure what my power would be. I don't know. I can't think of one right now, but you guys, you think of one while I'm playing this song and leave a comment. What would your superhero name be? Yeah, this song, what's interesting about this song, this is another instrumental, and I actually really like the solo in the song, but it's not a very fast, shreddy solo. Now, it's got some technical stuff going on, but it's not very fast. So this is another example of a solo that isn't super shreddy, super fast, but it's still very melodic and very nice. So again, just proving my point that you don't have to write something fast for it to be a good solo. Um, Here we go. Thank you. Let's see. Superhero name. Um, Maybe like War Angel or something like that. I don't know if that's cool. Demon Slayer. Um, let's see. Killer Kane, because my middle name's Kane. I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know what my superhero name would be. I'd probably have to write down a list of them and then just narrow it down to the best ones. But yeah, let's see. Insect Boy, that's not a bad one. It does, yeah. It kind of has a nice ring to it. That's kind of the key. Is it's not just putting two words together, but making sure it kind of sounds good. Even Stan Lee, when he came up with Spider-Man, I think he was looking at different bugs. He thought it'd be cool to have a hero that could crawl on the wall, so he was looking at bugs, and I think he just had a list of different names like Flyman or Bee-Man or whatever it might be, and then he came across Spider-Man, and he's like, ooh, there's something about that, it sounds pretty good. So that's kind of the way you got to do it. You got to come up with a list and just see what sounds good, what has a nice ring to it. So that's a good one. All right, guys, we're coming to the end of the stream here. I've got one more song for you, but if you have any more questions about writing a guitar solo, feel free to leave a comment. If there's anything you want to share, any questions about anything music related, if you have ideas for more topics, leave a comment of some other things we can talk about, some things we can discuss, and then also if you need help with writing a guitar solo, songwriting, that kind of thing, be sure to check the link in the description. I have some resources in the description of just some other videos that you might find helpful, things to kind of help you with songwriting and creativity and that kind of thing. So yeah, with that said, I think I'm going to go ahead and dive into one more song here. And again, if you have any questions, just leave them and I'll check them out. But this is going to be the last song of the evening. I appreciate those of you coming out, those of you watching, and I appreciate your support. And it's good to have friends. It's good to have brothers that you can count on, brothers all the way to the very end. So this song goes out to all of you who are watching and supporting. This song is called "Brothers to the End," even if that means just to the end of the stream. Forgot how to count. Thank you. Well, guys, that's going to be it for this evening's stream. Thank you so much for those of you who tuned in and for anyone watching on the replay. If you'd like to support me, there's a link in the description that leads to a virtual tip jar. And, anything helps. I certainly appreciate that. If you don't have the financial means to support me, my biggest goal right now is building an audience. So there's another link for my email list. If you could join that, that'd be really helpful. If you can invite other people to come to these streams and share my videos and that kind of thing, liking the video, subscribing, all that kind of stuff, that really helps me out. So I appreciate that. Again, if you ever have any questions or ideas for topics, leave a comment and I'll check it out and I'll keep that in mind for future videos. And if you need help with anything that we've discussed, I've got some resources in the description as well, some things that can kind of help you with songwriting, other videos that I've done to sort of, kind of along with what we were talking about with songwriting and music production and that kind of thing. So I think that's everything. Hopefully I'm not forgetting something, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you have any final questions or anything, just leave a comment and I'll try to reply as quickly as I can. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good evening or good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever time it is, wherever you are in the world. Thanks for watching. Until next time.